All right, guys, I had a couple questions about the AP Calculus Quarter 3 writing assignment. So up here on your screen, on the left-hand side, I have your numbers that I assigned you. Obviously, I can't put your names up. What I like to do is go on ESB and check. If you were given number 2, you're only going to use the cube. If you were given number 1, you're only going to use the rectangular prism. And if you're given the cylinder, you are assigned number 3. Go ahead and pause this if you don't know what your number is so that you have a chance to only pay attention to the part that you need to really be paying attention to. But I am going to talk about the whole thing. So, in part 1, there are 3 shapes. Each student is only doing one of the 3 shapes, and then everyone's going to use this triangular pyramid. And in the presentation, we're going to have to modify how that's going to work. I was going to do that the week before spring break. But with my absence this week, I don't think that is a good idea. I'd rather move forward with material, and I hope you guys all agree with me. Of course, when I come back, we'll do as we normally do, and we'll have a talk about what is the best path forward for everybody, and then we'll go by that. But with the questions about the project, I just want to go ahead and talk through what we're doing. This is the first chance I had to make a video. I wanted to make this earlier, and I apologize for the confusion. And I thank you for your patience. So you will focus on the application of related rates and optimization in this project, and everyone was given this number on ESB. That's on your left-hand side of the screen right now. And here's what we have. These are the dimensions of the rectangular prism. So if you were assigned number 1, you need to find the volume and surface area for this rectangular prism. If you were given number 2, the cube, you are going to use these dimensions to solve for the volume and surface area. And if you're given number 3, you're going to do the same thing, find the volume and surface area for this cylinder. And then everyone is going to use this triangular pyramid for part 2. And I'm only giving you these 2 pieces of information. You need to be able to construct this. You need to find the height of the prism, as far as like the altitude is concerned on the base face. And then I'll give you further directions later on, but everyone's using these numbers. For part 2, I'd like people working together, and I think I did put that in there, but I did cross some stuff out since I do not and have not had time to record the video, and leaving you guys waiting any longer would be unfair. So only if you were given the number 1 do you need to do this part. So go ahead and skip to the video if you weren't given number 1 that is addressing your number. So number 1 is the rectangular prism, and you're going to fill these out. And the only thing that may be hard to answer here is this one, since we don't put our phones up in this class, and I told you guys you can just leave them in your backpacks. If you're not sure what your number is, it's on the wall where the seating chart is. If you're the first person on the seating chart, your number is 1. If you're the second person, you're number 2, all the way down to number 15. Everything else, E and F, you're going to get from this sheet up here. And you fill all of those out. And then you start plugging in those, think of these as your variables. So here, we have the sum of B multiplied by 4.5. So I go to B, the first 2 digits of my student number, let's say they were 34. The sum of B is 3 plus 4 is 7. And then I multiply that by 4.5. And that tells me how fast the water is flowing into this. And then when will it reach a height of D, which is your middle digit of your student number, divided by 3 inches. So if your student number middle digit was 1, you would have 1/3 of an inch. If it was 9, you would have 3 inches. You just plug it and chug it. Part 2, maximize the volume of the rectangular prism found for the found surface area and give the side lengths of the maximized rectangle. And then do the opposite, right? Find the surface area, minimize the side for the minimized rectangular prism. So this is pretty much what we had on our test, and we're just going to keep practicing that over and over. And then I've crossed out part 3 because this video, like I said, unfortunately, I do not have time to make. So now we're on the cube. If you were not assigned number 2, skip ahead or rewind to number 1. And one thing I said in part 1 after I said skip ahead was, if you're not sure what your phone holder assigned number is, it is looking at the seating chart. If you're the first person on the seating chart, you're number 1, second person is number 2, third person is number 3. and follow that pattern all the way down to the 15th person. Now, for the cube, you have how fast is the volume of the cube changing when the edge lengths are a over 2. So if I come here and I'm number 1, a over 2, I would be 1 over 2, so it's 1/2. If I'm number 12, it's 12 over 2, which is 6. So at 6 inches, if I'm the 12th person on the seating chart, how fast is the volume of the cube changing? How fast is the surface area of the cube changing when the edge lengths are a over 2? So now we're talking about the edges of the cube, so we have to think about the relationship there that relates the sides of the cube to the surface area of the cube, and then again a over 2. So if I'm number 9, the lengths are 4.5. And then for part 2 of this, we maximize the volume of the cube for the found surface area given, and give the side lengths of the maximized cube, minimize the volume of the cube for the found surface area, and give the side lengths of the minimized cube. So the cube's got a few extra steps, but well, this first question up here is kind of goofy, right? It's never going to change. It's a constant change. So once you find the change, you're not really messing with it too much. And then we're not doing part 3. And then if you were given question number 3 for the cylinder, you're going to do the same thing. And since I did say skip ahead to your part, I don't want to leave this out. If you're not sure what your phone holder assigned number is, look at the seating chart. If you're the first person on the seating chart, you're number 1. The second, you're number 2. If you're the third, you're the third, all the way down to the 15th person. And then for part 1, it says if water is flowing into the cylinder of a rate of 35 pi units cubed a second, when will the height of the water be 6 inches? Now we have if the water is flowing to the cylinder at a rate of the sum of C multiplied by 8. So let's go up to C. The last 2 digits of your student number. Let's say the last 2 digits of your student number were 92. The sum of 9 and 2 is 11. And that times 8 is 88. And then you'll have 88 cubic units a minute. And then it says when will the height of the water be D over 1.25 inches. So just plug in your middle digit of your student number, divided by 1.25, and you're good to go to solve that problem. And then you're going to do your maximization and your minimization here. You're going to use the given values here. There's no up in the air terms, or you don't have to use any of your information from above. And then this is the part everyone's going to do. You're going to find the volume of the shape. You're going to find the surface area of the shape. And you're going to create your own problem. You're going to hand it off to a peer in the class. They're going to solve it. Then you're going to grade it and provide feedback. And what I'm judging this one on is your information correct? I'm not worried about whether or not the person you asked to attempt your problem is correct or not. They're not graded on your work. I want to see what your feedback looks like. Can you offer hints or insight or efficiencies that maybe they missed? Can you politely, if they have something wrong, help them and explain it well enough that it would be for them in the future an easier task? And then part 3 is the presentation. This is what we're going to have to modify. This is what we're going to talk about on Monday before we finish 4.5. And then your test is going to be on Wednesday. So I know we did not do much use substitution. We had an example or two. And I know some of the notes were to finish copying the notes. That's not the same as being able to work together on them. So when we come back Monday, I guess that'd be the 7th. That's what we're going to focus on. We're going to talk about this project for a few minutes, and then we're going to work on use substitution, review, test review answers and questions, and then on Wednesday we'll actually have our test.